Okay, so we are working on Project 2, the B movie poster in Photoshop, and also Lab 4, which is the baseball player with the surfboard. And I'm running into a lot of the similar same questions, and I thought I'd just make a quick video to explain them. You might want to take a few notes because there's a few good little bits of information in here, if I do say so myself. First of all, one of the biggest things I'm seeing is when we have pictures, say like this one, I'm going to double click on it, Boys at Gonzo's, and look, here it opens up in preview. Preview up here. I'm going to turn on mouse posse for a second here so you can see what I'm doing here. Preview. We do not want the picture opened in preview. We want it opened in Photoshop. So remember, we never really use preview for anything. So if you're opening it up in preview, it means you haven't done some of the other things as required or mentioned in the syllabus, etc. Let me turn that off. We want to open JPEGs in Photoshop, period. So to set your pictures or JPEG files to open in Photoshop, we click once on the file, on the icon, come over to the File menu, come down to Get Info, and midway through here in Get Info is the Open With twirl down. It's set for preview right now. We'll change that to Photoshop CC, and then press the button for Change All. So it'll ask you, are you sure? And yes, you're sure. And then you can close it. So now whenever you double click on the JPEG, it will open in Photoshop like this. That's really important. And we're at the stage now in the semester where if you're having an issue with something and I come over and you're working in preview, what it means is that I know you haven't watched the videos and I know you haven't done the work you're supposed to. So think about that a little bit. So please take care to make sure you get this step. If you have to write it down and make a note of it, do it. Okay, so now here we have this picture. I have another one here too. This is a cast picture from something odd. A couple of the other issues that I'm seeing in our project is that we generally start with a blank, transparent document like this one. For this, I went to File, New, called it a transparent background, and yeah, boom, here it is. Now, the proper way to move files over is to open them within Photoshop like this one and select it all, or make a selection of, say, oh, here, I'll take this guy. And then I'll go to my Move tool, and I just drag it on up here, come on into the new document, release my mouse, and boom, there I am. Hit Command Z and undo that, and go back to the cast picture. But what I'm seeing a lot of people do is they go straight to their untitled, their new open background, and instead of opening this picture, they're just dragging it in from the desktop. Now, can you do that? Yes. Is it a good idea? No. Because once you drag it in, it becomes a smart object. It's not an object that you can edit or do things with. So like you'll notice here with this copy I dragged in, it did not create a new layer here. So it's kind of problematic. Now, I know a lot of instruction is always, oh yeah, just drag it in off the desktop. Well, working with Photoshop, no, you don't really want to do that. The proper way, hit Command Z and get rid of this thing. There, now it's gone. The proper way to do these things is to open the picture within Photoshop, make it its own document, make a selection, and then move the selection up into the new document. Now you'll see, like here, that didn't create a new layer either. It should have, but nonetheless, it creates a layer this way, and now it's a layer that you can do things to. You can make changes to it. So If you drag it off the desktop, you can't do this. You lose a lot of the tools and effects, which is why we're doing it. So, bottom line is, general good working habits is to open a picture in Photoshop, open your new document or create it in Photoshop, and select and move from one document to the other. Do not just drag something in off the desktop. Okay? Because when you drag it in off the desktop, it just doesn't really do what we need it to do. Got it? Okay. So then finally, a couple other little notes is that we don't want to work off the cloud. Now, we can store files on the cloud in your Google account, your Gmail, or wherever. But you need to copy them onto your computer and manipulate them there. You can't or shouldn't manipulate them while they're on the cloud because the file is sitting up there and it's not a direct connection, and Photoshop doesn't really work well that way, and if at all. So you want to download things off the cloud and onto your hard drive, manipulate them. And then if you want to save them back in the cloud, upload them again. But don't just go to Gmail and double click on it there. You need to download the copy. That's the other thing that I'm seeing quite a bit of. And let's see, one other thing. Here's this picture. When we have a picture like this and we want to, say, delete something, let's just say I'll delete these things off, these condiments. I can just hit the delete key, and you'll notice that what it does, it doesn't actually delete them. It asks me, what do I want to replace it with? The fill dialog comes up. So what that means is that it's not going to delete anything because, well, it can't. But it can fill it with, say, white, or I can fill it with 50% gray, black, some history or a pattern, color, foreground color, background color, or content aware. Content aware is pretty amazing. I'll show you that in a second. But the point being is that when you delete something from a picture, you're really asking Photoshop to fill it with something else. Unless, of course, you come here and you're on a picture, say like this one. What I'm going to do is I'll just make another selection here. And of course, I can hit delete and it deletes it. That's because we started with an empty document. There's an empty layer underneath the pictures, so there actually is a layer of content to delete. That may seem a little confusing, and well, I suppose it is. But when you're dealing with just an image, say like this one, unless there's another layer underneath it, there's nothing to delete. So your option is to fill it instead of delete it. All right, that's confusing, I know. Let me show you one other quick thing that's really kind of amazing. This option here, let me select maybe the top part of this Corona bottle, the pepper shaker. When I hit delete, I'm going to choose the content aware option. I'll click OK, and boom, look at that. Just instead of having to use the clone tool or other things, it kind of reads the environment and makes something new for it. It's not very effective on that, or not great. Let me try these salsas down here. Let me just, I'm going to go to my lasso. I'll just draw a circle around here. Let's hope this looks good. Otherwise, I'm just wasting all of our time. I'll hit delete, content aware. There. That's pretty amazing, right? Okay, so content aware is a really amazing tool that helps fill in spots for things that you want to get rid of, but you don't really want to be spending a lot of time using the rubber stamp or the clone or history brush or any of those other things. There's a time and place for each tool. Content aware is a great one. We saw here with the salsas, it was amazing. Over here on the pepper shaker, not so much. So, cool tools. That's what happens when you delete. You have your choice of what to replace it with. Okay, I've talked long enough. Point made. I hope you did take notes because this stuff really comes up quite a bit. Good luck on your project. See ya.